The 2021-2022 school year marks the 50th anniversary of Title IX. This landmark legislation led to a national movement that now provides opportunities for over 140,000 female student athletes in Illinois. The opportunities for today's athletes were built on the perseverance of those athletes, coaches, administrators, and officials who came before. In this episode of Leaders and Legends, IHSA staff explores one of those experiences. Celebrating the 50th anniversary of Title IX, the IHSA presents Leaders and Legends.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Tracy Henry here from the Illinois High School Association as we continue to celebrate Title IX. And today we're going to be talking softball, and joining me today are two legendary coaches that have made a lasting impact on the high school game here in Illinois. I'm joined by Coach Julie Folliard and then also by Coach Julie Fonda-Smith. So we're going to get started today. I'm going to ask each coach just to tell us a little bit about, where they're coaching at now and kind of how they've been connected with the high school game, and then talk just about some growth that's come from Title IX and the progress that we've seen here when it comes to high school softball. So Coach Fonda, can you just tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're coaching at, and how you've been connected to the game?
Sure, I'd love to. So thanks for having us, Tracy. This is a great honor. I am at Glenbard South High School, so we're Chicago and Glen Ellen. I've been coaching varsity here for 15 years, but I've been at the school for 20, coaching softball for all 20 years. So yeah, I've had some great success. I've had some amazing players and blessed with awesome talent and kids that have bought in and really enjoyed the sport. So softball is pretty embedded into my life, has been since a young age. So I'm excited to talk with you today about it.
So, Coach Folliard, tell me just a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Similar situation. I am a product of Richards High School. I went to Richards High School, and after college, I was able to coach with someone I respect greatly to this day, Larry Lane. He was my high school coach. And I was his assistant for 2 years, and he sort of showed me the ropes and then turned it over to me. So all in all, it's been about, I think this is 36 years, and it feels like 10. I mean, it's just, I love it every day. We have amazing people. We have great support. Like Julie said, I've been so fortunate to work with and watch grow such amazing young people. It's inspirational. In fact, I just told them that the other day in conditioning, I'm like, you guys inspire me. And they're kind of looking at me like, what did she say? But they do. I mean, our youth is so inspirational, and our parents have been great, helping us move our program forward. And I'm just excited every day. Every day I walk in and I think I'm the luckiest person around. So I'm grateful. Thank you. And thank you for having us here. Julie is someone I greatly admire, as are you, Tracy. So I'm thrilled to be in this room with both of you.
Thank you. So today we're talking about Title IX from 1972 and marks the 50th anniversary as we come up in June. And this, the 2022 state series for softball will actually be our 46th year that we've had a softball state finals. So Coach Folliard, can you just talk a little bit about Title IX? How did Title IX affect you?
Sure. Well, I was thinking, about this, and I kind of think that I'm a Title IX baby. Is that I was on the cusp of right after, it was passed. So I grew up already on the shoulders of so many that worked so hard for this equity. And I think it's a big understanding that we know that it's equity, not equality, right? It's equity. And that when I went to Richards, I had an opportunity to play as many sports as I wanted to. So I took advantage of it. I played 4, right? And I just recently, I was out in Florida watching the invite of all these amazing Division I teams. And I met a woman in the stands who didn't have opportunities to coach when she was, first starting out. She went overseas and had coached for many, many years overseas. And we started talking about Title IX. So I do believe that, I was able to understand these things. And it's so important that we continue to teach the lesson that has happened before us to get to this point. And not just think, oh, well, here we are and we've arrived, because we haven't. Title IX is a movement for everyone, is for the men and the women, so that everybody has equitable opportunities and academic opportunities, and not only scholarships for softball. There's so many impacts of this amazing amendment in law that we have to continue to educate so that people appreciate where we are, and then pull them up, Julie and Tracy, we pull them up onto our shoulders, the shoulders we're standing on. And my goodness, those people below us must be tired, but we're so grateful for them. And we just have to keep moving it forward. That's where we are.
Great. Coach Fonda, can you talk just a little bit about Title IX and the opportunities that were available for you?
Yeah, I echo everything Coach Folliard just said. I'm a Glenbard South graduate too, so we didn't fall very far from our roots here. I went away to Eastern Illinois for 4 years and came right back. I was also coached with my high school coach, Bill Vobis, who's an Illinois Coaches Association Hall of Fame member as well. So he kind of laid the foundation. He was a huge advocate for female sports. He coached girls volleyball, he coached girls basketball, he coached girls softball. So and he didn't have any kids at the time, so it wasn't that he had this agenda or anything. He just loved being around the sports and the games and kind of leading the way. So very cool to watch a man in that role to aspire to, push the games forward and have a vision in that way. I played 3 sports. I was a 3-sport athlete: volleyball, basketball, softball in high school, taking advantage of that, and then playing club sports outside of high school as well. And those opportunities, obviously I was blessed with the fact that I came after the movement, and it was already kind of just a thing. Like, girls had the same opportunities as boys. But when I got to college at Eastern Illinois, I did end up doing some research on it in a class that I had. And, the roots run deep, I believe, and the people that built it before us need to be commended and celebrated. And I'm so glad we're doing this, because it is a huge part. And like you said, Coach Folliard, just continuing the revolution and bringing it forward, and giving the opportunities and growth to the people that we're coaching now, and passing the torch. So I feel like the torch was passed to me, and I definitely want to encourage the women and girls below me to continue to strive for it and continue the equity, instead of the equality. So awesome.
So we here at the IHSA have been celebrating content on the 9th of every month, and really celebrating females, our coaches, our umpires, and administrators. But I'm so glad, Coach Fonda, that you brought up the fact about your high school coach being a male, because in Illinois, since 1972, we now have 600 high schools that participate in softball, just over 9,000 softball student athletes. And we know that we are so appreciative of all those women who were so bold to compete in the sport of softball and to become umpires and become officials. But also the growth to the magnitude that we currently have now would not be possible without those males that have chose to coach softball, and that those have become umpires. And we're so thankful and grateful for them, and want to celebrate them in these types of conversations and with the growth of our sport as well. So, Coach Folliard, can you just tell us a little bit about not only the opportunities that have resulted, but just the growth that you've seen in the game in the last 50 years?
Sure. And I want to thank you for bringing up, Julie, our stories are so similar, as that my high school coach is Larry Lane. Not only by name do we have, but, and he, I was talking to him the other day, and he told me that the girls came to him and said, hey, Mr. Lane, would you coach us? Do you know a little bit more about the sport? And he did it out of passion as well. And he's just been a great mentor for me. And there have been so many. We never get anywhere on our own, and it is not just about females, it's about the men, and the men in our program that coach with us now. We've been talking a lot about this, and this anniversary has given us a great opportunity to open up more dialogue. And Tracy, certainly what the IHSA is doing is wonderful, and much needed. So the growth of our sport, oh my goodness, amazing, right? Amazing. One of the things that I love to do is to have our summer camps and clinics and things, because I get to see the tinies, right? The tinies just loving it. And sometimes they come in with softball gear and everything else. And sometimes they just come in with a pair of sweatpants and they borrow a bat, but they know that this is where they want to be. When I was first starting, I can never forget it. Somehow I'm in the middle of 5. So my mother was very busy. My father was very busy. And I'm the only one that really pursued further activities, I think, in sports, in terms of my sisters. Okay, my brothers did a little bit. But my mom volunteered in a meeting in the Oklahoma Park District because there weren't enough coaches. And I remember sitting there thinking, What do you mean I might not be able to play? I mean, this is what I wanted to do. My dad had bought me my first glove. He came home with one for my older brother, and mine was red. And I'll never forget it. I'm like, oh my God, I have my own glove, and it's red, right? So he would play running bases, with us out in front. My mother volunteered only as like a manager, but that got us off the ground. And then someone else's husband, Mr. Farrell, Tom Farrell, coached us. So at this point, parents have been, I mean, they are so instrumental. It's not just, we in the high school obviously level, but the parents who support their daughters from day one, saying, yes, you can do this, and yes, I support you. And even if they don't, guys, even if they don't play a long time, as long as young women are learning that what it means to be brave, right? What it means to try. And when you're scared, that's when you can be brave. And for them to start off young with this ball that can hurt them, with caring parents that just take them through this whole way and then deliver them into our graces that we can continue to help them grow. It's amazing. There are so many travel ball circuits on all different levels. I loved it. I remember hearing about all these different levels that were developing, far more than I can even keep track of. And I thought to myself, wow, everybody has a chance to play now. It's not just the elite that can make these travel teams. There's rec teams, there's local teams, there's high level travel. And then we look at the scholarship available for academics, like it blows me away still to this day, even though we should be sort of used to it, it doesn't. To have an opportunity to pursue an academic career through softball, to do two things you love, it's remarkable. And if people don't take that route, the fact that we have women in our teams, in our programs, learning what grit means, watching them grow from day one, and most of them do come in a little bit shy as freshmen, right? By the time they leave, you guys, I know you know what I'm talking about. Their shoulders are back. They're leading directions. They're leading conversations. They're leading our program. I mean, ideally, things move on without the coach standing right there, right? Because those are the reasons why I coach. I mean, I love the game. I'm addicted to the game. I love the competition. Are you kidding me? But I just really know how important this is as individuals to help the growth of these young women. And I applaud all the coaches everywhere, because it's never been more trying in high school, I think, than right now to coach with all of the demands on teachers as coaches. And we need you. Like, we need everybody. So I've just seen it explode, and I'm fortunate for that view. Thank you.
Awesome. How about you, Coach Fonda? From the time that you were a player to your career in college and then now, what have you seen come for opportunities through Title IX and then just the growth of the high school game?
Yeah, I think that the growth has been tremendous, even since I graduated in 1996 from high school. So, I went into the early 2000s playing in college, and even, from then to now, you see, the explosion that the game has had on ESPN, and that you can actually watch a softball game now. When I was in high school, I craved that. Like, I wanted to see the competition and my sport there, instead of just seeing men's basketball and football and those types of sports. So I think that has propelled our sport. I know that there's ups and downs of participation, as you see at the IHSA, Tracy. But I think right now we're hopefully on an upward trend as far as participation goes with this sport. Our sport is rare in the sense that in high school, very rarely do you come across a kid that can pick up a ball and a mitt and actually participate as a 15-year-old. If they haven't been playing since they were 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, it's an intimidating sport. So I think that has contributed to our ups and downs in our sport, in particular, because basketball, you can say, you know what, try it. Here's a basketball, dribble it. Here's how you shoot. And same with volleyball. It's not intimidating. Like Coach Folliard said, it's not going to smack you in the face and hurt you. So it is an intimidating sport. So I do think having it be more present and in front of us on television is definitely helping us. And I've talked to many men that feel like they prefer to watch softball now instead of baseball. And if we didn't have that opportunity in ESPN in those times that it's being shown to us, that wouldn't even have come to fruition. So I do see the growth, and I hope it continues. And it's given our sport the ability to propel, I think.
Great. So Coach Folliard, you've talked a little bit about this, about how you're educating your team and the current student athletes. When it comes to Title IX, what do you tell them about Title IX?
Well, we actually are having we're going to have a game to celebrate it. Some of these things they don't quite know yet, but they will in a minute now. What I tell them is that we stand on the shoulders of other people, right? And that it wasn't always here for everybody to have opportunity. And then I try to give them a variety of examples. Of course, they have never seen this, right? They don't really get it. So we can pull in some other opportunities or recognition of maybe some other areas of life where representation is not equitable, right? And we can get into all sorts of conversation from that. I do tell them that they need to really try to promote everyone trying, no matter what level they are. If we can get people to come out and play sports, and I'm talking about, like the other day, I let in some cross-country runners, some men cross-country runners, and I was like, oh my God, you guys are awesome. That is such a hard sport. But I think as coaches, we just have to continue to encourage everyone to participate. And the more we participate, the more we move along, I believe, equity in Title IX. I've talked with our coaches. I've been also fortunate to have a lot of very strong, supportive men in my program, in our program, because men and women participating will push Title IX along. It always has, and it's needed. And it's really not, I think, I'm sure you all have heard this before. So many people that I know have said, Julie, I would never have understood all that my daughter could do if I hadn't only had daughters, or if I didn't coach my daughter. It's an eye-opener. And I think that we just have to continue to look back on our history, continue to bring it forward. Where were we? One thing that we did, which is a great lesson that I also use, where have we arrived to, is our varsity field at Richards High School. When I played, we all got on a bus and we all went about a mile away. We had fields that were part of our school in our administration, and that's where I played. And I was like, okay. Boys had a field though on campus, and that's where I played. And then when I started coaching, that's still what I did. Half of my career, I got on the bus and we went over there, and we'd pick the glass out of the dirt, because people would throw bottles against the screen eventually at night or whatever. And I thought, this is just really too much. We really have to develop. There was an old PE field on campus, and one of our former players, Lisa Kruger, came up to me her junior year and said, Coach Folliard, my dad will build us a field. I was like, what'd you say? Because she always heard me saying, gosh, it's just not right. We got to get this done. How can I get this done? And so I talked with him and her father, and I got permission from the school. And through parents in that year, in 1996, we talked to some companies and got some donations, and we did big fundraising, and we built our field. We built our field on campus. And now we have what I believe is always trying to get it to be the most beautiful field around in the area to celebrate girls softball, people playing. And that is a lesson we talk about all the time. Like, hey, this field wasn't always here. So that's something that I do for sure, but just teaching the history of it.
Great. How about you, Coach Fonda? How do you help educate your current team, your student athletes, just about really what Title IX is and the opportunities from it?
Yeah, I think the age-old, like when I was a kid type thing comes up, right? So, and coming from the same exact scenario, I walked in your shoes. I was in this building. I went from class to class, and then after school went to practice, and this is what the facility looked like. I'm also the assistant athletic director here at Glenbard South, and we've put in a lot of time into we call it beautifying, but celebrating our colors and putting that stuff into action around our facilities. So same thing with our softball field. It is definitely grown over time. Even from like bullpens, like the boys had a bullpen. We didn't have a bullpen where my pitcher was just warming up on the dirt. So, building that out, putting a flag behind our backstop, because the boys had a flag in center field. So just kind of thinking about those little things that help the whole thing rise up, scoreboards, those types of things. So I think just kind of celebrating those and just continuing to build it up and make it look the same and feel the same and make it a big deal. I was thinking about kind of how we could celebrate Title IX in the 50 years. And like Coach Folliard said, having a game to celebrate it. Obviously, our biggest rival is Glenbard West. We're in the same town, two sides of Glen Ellen. And Mary McGrain, who is also a tremendous coach, played at Missouri, played at Downers North, and has been coaching Glenbard West for years. Her and I have just a natural rivalry too. So we usually play the last game of the season, and we're kind of in conversations now on how we could bring the older influences back. She coaches with a woman by the name of Coach Judge, who has been around Glenbard West for decades and decades, who has watched the evolution. So just having her speak to the girls by itself would give them a big picture of what it was, what it is now, and then what it could be. So I think that's kind of how we're going to celebrate it. But I'm just trying to tell them like it's great now, but this is where it could go, or like have a vision to keep pushing it forward.
I love hearing you say that. And I've reflected a lot on that. Hey, we've come so far in the next 50 years. What's that going to look like?
Yeah.
And I think that as long as we have good people in leadership positions like both of you that are continuing to educate and mentor kids, that we focus on our sportsmanship, I think everything will continue to rise and grow throughout the next 50. But when we reflect on this 50 years of softball and where we've come since 1972, is there a specific memory that really comes top of mind when you think about your tenure during high school softball? Coach Folliard, is there anything that you can think of?
Yeah, there's something I think that kind of ties all of it together. I mean, obviously, we're all in it for our players, right? It's our connections. It's just the love of who we are. We are teachers by nature, I think, innately. So watching these women grow, we had a game, and it was in 2011. And our team at the time, we were undefeated. And we were playing, like Julie said, a local rivalry, local rival, probably 2 miles down the road, public versus private. They came to our house. Okay. So it was amazing. And the school decided, or the kids decided, really, it wasn't a school thing. They were going to have a blackout. I'm like, ooh, softball gets to have those too? That's fun, So our game gets started, and it blew me away how many people showed up to Richards High School for this game on both sides. Like, we didn't even have stands at the time, layered back, packed in all around everywhere, and it was electric. And I had played in front of those types of crowds, right, in different semi-pro leagues, but I hadn't coached in front of that type of crowd at our house ever. And, the game started off, and our team, who didn't necessarily make a lot of errors at the time, I believe it was like 7 out of 9 players made an error, and we tumbled quickly, and the other team jumped up ahead, and it was roaring and loud. And I remember watching our dugout as a third base, and I saw some of our players, our seniors, jump into the huddle, and they fired our team up, and we turned it around, and and then the other team started making their share of errors, and we played so well, and fortunately for us, we won that game, right? But what I took away was that our women have arrived, right? And it's largely through sport, not only softball, but through sports. And our game has fan appeal. It's not just inside a gymnasium with basketball or volleyball, something else. Our game has fan appeal. It was nuts. And we kept those fans for a large part of the rest of the year. And when Julie mentioned on TV, when you look at the ratings for our Women's College World Series, off the charts with popularity. So, I mean, that is my memory, because I could tie in where the women have come and my great pride for their strength and growth as strong women to our field just held this here. And it used to be a little limestone PE field. And here we are on campus blowing this out of the water. It was remarkable. I'll never forget it. And I thank all those people who were a part of it. It's amazing.
That's a great memory.
Awesome.
How about you, Coach Fonda? Is there something that sticks out in your mind when you reflect on your time during softball?
I mean, as a player, I think it was just the opportunities to super at the variety of levels that I had, like playing high school, playing club ball. But as a coach, similar, like the super sectional games that we hosted at Glenbard South, or even going to the state tournament. I had been to the state tournament prior to coaching in it, but then you get in that field, at Eastside Center when it was there, and the feel and the number of people that have come out, and the students that come to support, and just the whole feel. And the first time I went in 2008, and you're just dumbfounded, right? You're like, holy cow, we're really here. I left telling Matt Troha, I'm like, you guys did an amazing job. Like, to make this feel the way it is, for my athletes, tremendous. And then to go again in 09 and 11 and 12 and 13, and each time we went, it just got better. It just got better. And to give my girls that exposure and to feel that, obviously I'd love to go back, but I always tell the people that are like, wow, you've had some great success. Yeah, I've had my success, and I actually want to share it with everybody else. I want everybody to have that feeling. I want other teams to go down and experience it. When Sycamore went a few years ago, I'm really good friends with Jill Carpenter, and I called her. I'm like, enjoy every moment of that ride. So like Julie just said, our sport has arrived, and I really do think that. And the fanfare around it, like, we just got to propel it. Like, I think it's definitely here, and now it's our job to just continue feeding the flame, so to speak. So I think that's definitely, I'm even getting chills right now. Like, I'm ready to go. Let's go Monday. So I thank you, Tracy, for all you do for our sport, but the IHSA in general, I think, does a great job for all the state tournaments. I mean, it's a big deal, and they make it feel that way, and that's great for us coaches, but so awesome for the kids to feel, and be able to take that memory with them. So.
Well, Coach Fonda and Coach Folliard, thank you so much for your time today, sharing your stories, helping us celebrate softball, and more importantly, thank you for all that you've done as coaches and as mentors in making a lasting impact here in Illinois on the high school game of softball. You're so appreciated.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you so much, both of you.
Yeah, you too, Julie.